everybody, this is Moscow from Moscow's 2 cents, and man, it's time, it's about goddamn fucking time. We need a live action Dragon Ball Z movie. I said it. Yes, I know. 10 years ago, like 2009 or so, we had that horrible Dragon Ball Evolution. So I throw up a little bit in my mouth. And that was obviously a clusterfuck of bullshit. Even the people who just heard about it by name, even the diehard fans, we shot all over that thing. It was just awful. But now this kind of genre might be giving a little bit more, how shall I say it, serious gravitas, basically. Now that we have Marvel Comics, now that we have the DC Universe to a shittier extent, it's time. And now Japanese animation is the last untapped source that Hollywood is gonna jump on. It's gonna jump on, okay? And like, look, let's recap it. We had recently Ghost in the Shell. That thing cost like $120 million to make. Not a horrible movie. Nothing wow. I mean, like, it connects only with a specific core of fans, essentially, of people. I mean, I knew about Ghost in the Shell, so I went to see it, but maybe not the casual viewer that didn't see the animated form, you know. Battle Angel, where we had a trailer not that far ago, they're fucking doing Pokemon movie, okay? What is it, like a Detective Pokemon? Like a live action Pikachu, really? I mean, like, look, nothing against it. I mean, my kids love Pokemon. It's for its target audience. That's what it's meant for. I mean, you have Attack on Titan. That was the Japanese movies that were released in the cinema here, and I love them. And if they make like a really serious, more to the core type of movie, I'm all in. You got my money. And Naruto, I think somebody expressed, from what I understand, they're expressing interest. Dragon Ball Z is the motherlode of Japanese animation. It's right. Basically, if you look at the history of Japanese animation, as far as I'm concerned, Dragon Ball, Gundam, the rest. Obviously, it's debatable, but for me, it's Dragon Ball. And Dragon Ball now, especially with the new show Dragon Ball Super that just concluded, essentially, and people being glued to their seats for a show that basically came back over a decade after Dragon Ball GT. I mean, we're ready for it. I think this kind of proves it. Like, we're ready for it. Now, one major thing like that kind of also shows that it's the time, because I don't have confidence in Fox for shit. Okay? For shit. Nothing. Okay? Disney's buying Fox. Disney trusts the process, so to speak. So they didn't mess around with Pixar's winning formula. They didn't mess around with Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios formula, even though they bought them. And look what happened. They're making just amazing movies one after the other. If you give this property to somebody right, that movie is not just going to be a movie. It's going to be a franchise. It's going to be epic franchise. You're talking about amazing action that we haven't seen essentially since. I mean, we got sort of like a taste for it with the Matrix movies, like in Matrix Revolution when you had Agent Smith versus Neo. That type of fighting style, that is all that Dragon Ball is. Dragon Ball Z, any incarnation of Dragon Ball, that's what it is. And can be done on the cheap too. I mean, the effects there are not that demanding that you need like to put $200 million in it. You can do it on the cheap for $70 million, a la Daredevil. Not Daredevil, sorry, Deadpool. And you get something magical. I promise, magical. I mean, think about it this way. It has sort of the DC Universe component in the sense that there's no real cities, okay? There's no New York, there's no Chicago, there's no LA, there's nothing like that. It's just made up city names, okay? You have Lord of the Rings in a sense that it's all about travel, about defeating the big bad, about basically an adventure. I mean, in Lord of the Rings, it was about getting rid of a ring. In Dragon Ball, it's about collecting 7 magical balls. And for those of you who don't know Dragon Ball, essentially it's about there's multiple incarnation. There's the original Dragon Ball, which is essentially, yes, you run, you make friends, you make enemies, that kind of thing. But it's essentially around 7 magical balls that when you get them together, a magical dragon comes out and grants you any wish that you want. Simple enough, caters for kids. You have beautiful, and in Dragon Ball Z, basically, okay, yeah, we have those Dragon Balls. Now, let's go find them elsewhere. Now, these shows appeal for more young adults, because now it's a thing now to do everything young adults. I mean, all the way since, what's that vampire werewolf thing? Twilight. I mean, I think they kind of started. Then you had like all those different incarnations, and I mean, you can have a trilogy of Dragon Ball Z, and then you, if you handle it right, you can have the prequel trilogy, like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Now, for those of us who know Dragon Ball, and I assume you know Dragon Ball because you got this video, you found it, you didn't look into it by looking into fucking toilet cloggers, you know, that kind of shit, decloggers. Essentially, the trilogy in my mind, were I to pitch it, it's essentially Dragon Ball Z, which is all the way up until Planet Namek and the defeat of Frieza, basically. And you split it up into 3 parts, into 3 movies, and each one of them can end with a cliffhanger. You have the first Dragon Ball, which basically we're not going to call it Dragon Ball, we're going to call it DBZ. DBZ. This way it washes the bad taste out of Dragon Ball Evolution out of our mouth, and we can, the acronym itself plays really well, in my opinion. So, first movie, DBZ Saiyans, right? There's been peace since the original Dragon Ball, which you can kind of intro up every I'm going to refer back again, like Lord of the Rings at the beginning, like the initial battle, whatever, that kind of thing, all the way, and then all the way until when Goku has his kid, Gohan, and he introduces it to his friends, Raditz lands, shit goes down, all the way up until the defeat of Vegeta and Nappa. These are, in the middle there you have basically 2 epic actions. You have gigantic training, like, because in Dragon Ball we love to see how they train, how stronger they get, that kind of thing. It is basically the best PX90 animated version that we can have. It's just awesome. We see them train. We see, we learn about the ki and the inner power and all that good shit. And and we see how we're not alone in the universe. We learn about Piccolo's origins. We learn about Goku's origins. We learn about the significance of the tail, all that stuff. Okay? For those non-Dragon Ball fans out there, the main character Goku has a tail. When he looks at the full moon, he becomes into a monkey, and he doesn't know that. So I won't give an overview of the Dragon Ball series, but essentially just know it's about the 7 magical balls, about a superpowered kid, and about a city girl that always thinks everybody wants to rape her. Simple concept, right? Now, the first movie ends on a cliffhanger because we're ending on the launch of the spaceship to Namek. Okay? Gohan and Krillin, the only surviving people from the battle. Spoilers, if you guys haven't watched the show, fuck you, you should. And they go on a spaceship because the Dragon Balls are tied to Piccolo and therefore to Kami, and that's how it ends. Basically, like a Star Wars thing where they go into hyperspace and then credits. Same type of thing. Easter egg, you can do like an Easter egg scene where Vegeta lands on one of Frieza's planets. Frieza learns about all that stuff the same way that they kind of teased Thanos at the end of Avengers, you know. So you can have all those type of moments, and that will build up hype directly into the second movie, DBZ Namek. You land in there, you show like the trip there, you learn how they train on board the ship, and all the way until all the adventures that they have to go through, including the Ginyu Force and everything, up until Frieza's first form, first transformation, essentially. Like there's a battle with Goku and with Frieza and Vegeta, who also makes it to Namek. So it's basically a three-way battle to gather the rings, the rings, sorry, the balls, and you have Vegeta versus Frieza. You get to see the Shenron from Namek and all those connective tissues that go in between, and then flash cut into the second transformation. You see how Frieza transforms, and then end credits. And then obviously you have the end from the second form all the way until the final showdown, until Namek's explosion and everybody's restoration on Earth. This, you have all these movies, all these parts that if you just picture, because I'm picturing it live action, I'm seeing like in my head the cliffhangers that are there, the intensity that is there. Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, all of Dragon Ball essentially, what they're known for is to have a lot of filler episodes. Now, if you go on YouTube, you can have a lot of people who spend their time cutting out all the filler. Hell, they even did Dragon Ball Kai because they acknowledged there's filler, so they did a less filler version of the show. So imagine a no filler type of show, movie franchise that just does this continuity, introduces all the characters, all the worlds, and it's not complex world. It's not like you're designing, like in Ghost in the Shell, every single window of the fucking movie, you know. It's just the flow of everything just flows. You can do everything with under 2 hours essentially of good storytelling with awesome action, and the action does not have to be 5 minutes or cutting in and cutting out. It can just be just awesome goodness of movies. Now, if somebody handles this properly and does all the way up until Frieza, because I don't think we need to do Cell, I don't think we need to do the Boo version of things. This becomes too mystical, too grandiose, and it loses flavor. Okay, for me, in part, it's one of the reasons why Thanos in the Marvel Cinematic Universe took 11 movies or so to fucking bring out. How many movies? 11 movies, let's say. I mean, like, because you had to build them up. You had to build up the characters, all that stuff. You don't have to, like, go through all those. You can go straight to the action, and, like, it's just amazing stuff. And if somebody handles that with the love and care that they need, aka somebody that Disney trusts, fuck Fox. Sorry. I mean, you failed me too many times, with a few exceptions. Then you can go Hobbit style and do the original prequels where Goku was a kid, how he met all these people, how he trained, where did he come from, what happened, you know. So you can have a trilogy at the beginning, like quote unquote episode 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, 3, and the first one I would say would be Dragon Ball World Tournament, because you introduce Goku all the way up until the World Tournament. I wouldn't put the Red Ribbon Army in there. It's just whatever. It's even the kids would lose that one. And then the second one would be the Demon King Piccolo, whatever. Basically, from the end of the tournament, they all go to train. You have their adventure. You have all that crap, that kind of thing, all the way until the death of Demon King Piccolo. I mean, imagine that. That tournament ends. Goku loses. Immediately after that, everybody's friends. They go for dinner. That the winner ends up paying. There's a whole dynamics there that, for those of you who don't know, go and watch. I'm not spoiling it, even though it's a fucking 30-year-old anime that everybody should watch by now. All the way until Krillin dying, and then introducing Demon King Piccolo. Goku gets pissed off, rips his ass in half after intense training and intense adventures and all that stuff. And then that movie ends basically with Demon King Piccolo creating a copy of himself, like cloning himself with his essence, with his soul, with his spirit, with whatever you want. Just a younger version, basically. And then go to the third movie. And for me personally, I would call that Dragon Ball Peace at Last. You have the aftermath training of Kami, Korin, Mr. Popo, all that stuff, all the way until the defeat of Piccolo and the birth of Gohan, essentially, kind of like to tie it together into the original Dragon Ball Z. For me, those can be done on the cheap. I don't think you need more than 70 million per movie, which by Hollywood standards, it's Starbucks change, okay? $70 million. China alone is going to give you 100. China alone. If you do it properly, you do it justice, Japan is going to give about 100 also. You have the potential, if anybody with any kind of power has any kind of potential, like power of influence, there's the opportunity of making at least 500 million per movie. Per movie. You do it right, you do it justice, you handle it with care, you handle it with love. $500 million times 6, that's $3 billion. That's $3 billion. I mean, come on. $3 billion and you have to basically spend what, like 400? 450, let's say, if you want to get a little bit pricier. You don't need major, you can do CGI work. I mean, fucking Deadpool, you had a main character, Colossus, who's pure CGI. That movie cost about 70 million from what I understand. It is not an expensive movie. You can do it in the same style, like you can do kick-ass action Matrix style. Most of the money is going to go towards the movie because most of the fights, most of the scenes essentially take place in a forest, in a field. If anybody here, most likely you guys saw the actual anime. Namek is basically a few rivers and a couple of trees. Not exactly, like downtown Hong Kong or shit like that. So you can really do a lot of really nice, beautiful stuff in there. I mean, you want to compare something more concrete, more realistic, the scenery would be kind of equal to Lord of the Rings. And each movie was about between $80 to $100 million. If you divide them individually. I know they film all 3 of them together. It's the same thing. So you have, I promise you, now Hollywood is going to dive into that. And those who come first, Disney obviously will have the rights for it. Just do it. Just do that movie. You're going to have a franchise on yourself that if you did it right, you didn't even have any idea what you had under your belt. It's not just the Marvel properties that you're getting. If you're getting the Dragon Ball live action movie, you're sitting on a gold mine. Because now that kind of movie gets more respect, more than even in 2009, even after Iron Man and the Hulk came out, which gave legitimacy to comic book movies. Even though X-Men did that also, but like the Marvel universe got legitimized at that a year prior. Fox just fucked up because they were incompetent from top to bottom, whoever got involved. So, leave a comment, subscribe, like the video. I'm doing on various topics. Who knows what the next one's gonna be? I'm gonna be including probably movie reviews later on because we're entering movie season. I'll get a whole bunch of videos out. So, please let me know if you have any suggestion of anything. If you like what I said or like what you heard or a certain part of it or didn't at all, tell me what the other topic that you might want. I'll be more than happy to go and drop in my 2 cents because essentially that's what the name of the channel is, Moscow's 2 cents. So, all right, thank you very much, guys, and until next time.